Rappers often rap about murder, but most of the time it's nothing more than fiction, a crafted story meant to warn listeners about the harsh realities of street life. Yet, not every tale is made up. Sometimes those lyrics mirror real actions, with rappers committing the darkest crimes imaginable. While some ended up behind bars for their deeds, others managed to slip through the cracks and still roam free, like DaBaby, who was literally caught in 4K and even turned the incident into a song. DaBaby's name has surfaced in multiple legal troubles, ranging from alleged armed robbery to assaults, but his most infamous case traces back to 2018. That November, while shopping at a Walmart in Huntersville, North Carolina, DaBaby noticed two teens, Jalen Craig and Henry Douglas, eyeing him as though they recognized him. Feeling as if the teens were plotting something, DaBaby later claimed he sensed bad intentions and feared they might draw a weapon on his family if he didn't act first. So, he confronted them, and tensions quickly escalated. Each side gives a different version. Henry Douglas insists DaBaby initiated the conflict aggressively, while DaBaby swears that account is false. What's clear is that things spiraled into a fight between DaBaby, Douglas, and Craig, and then everything took a shocking turn. In the footage, it's obvious DaBaby's girlfriend jumped into the scuffle trying to stop it, but as she intervened, DaBaby saw Craig reach toward his waistband and assumed he was pulling a weapon, so he pulled his own and shot Craig dead. DaBaby was arrested for the killing, yet at trial, the judge ultimately accepted his claim of self-defense and he was acquitted of homicide, leaving him only with a misdemeanor for unlawful gun possession. That incident is what the chilling lines in one of his songs reference, him insisting his daughter witnessed the violence and vowing to protect her at all costs. And police later re-examined the Walmart footage several times after the verdict to make sure the ruling held up. Gucci Mane's case is similar in that it also involved a killing ruled self-defense, but his story carries a darker, more menacing legacy tied to a long-running feud. The whole saga traces back to 2005, when Gucci was an up-and-coming Atlanta rapper who cut a song with Jeezy called Icy. Jeezy expected the track on his major label debut, but Gucci put the record on his own independent debut, Trap House, and Jeezy claimed he never saw a cent for his feature. Tempers flared. Jeezy dropped a diss that openly celebrated the idea of putting a bounty on Gucci's chain, and that public provocation turned the beef poisonous. Gucci didn't take the attack lying down, and what followed escalated the feud into something violent and unforgettable. Round 1 didn't take long to kick off, and Gucci wasted no time firing shots back at Jeezy, calling him out directly and setting the tone for what became one of hip-hop's most infamous beefs. With tensions climbing and diss tracks flying, Jeezy's associates decided to make good on the chain bounty he had put out, and on May 19, 2005, while Gucci was visiting a friend, 4 men forced their way inside to ambush him. During the altercation, one of the attackers threatened to shoot Gucci, and in the chaos, Gucci pulled out his own weapon and fired. When the smoke cleared, one of the men, Henry Lee Clark III, better known as Pookie Locke, a known Jeezy affiliate, was hit. His body was later discovered near a middle school in Decatur, Georgia. Days after the incident, Gucci surrendered to police following the issue of an arrest warrant. Almost instantly, a phone interview surfaced in which Gucci expressed regret, insisting he wasn't a murderer, but a man backed into a corner who did what he had to do to survive. Meanwhile, Jeezy distanced himself from the killing, denying any involvement despite the bounty in his diss track and the victim being tied to his label. 9 months later, Gucci was acquitted of murder after his self-defense argument held up in court. He admitted to firing on the intruders that night and acknowledged being the one who killed Pookie, but with a witness supporting his story and no evidence proving otherwise, Gucci walked free.
I was young, but I did some things that's fucked up, that did wrong to people. And everybody in the neighborhood know that, so ain't no going around that.
Even with the murder, even though it was self-defense, do you ever think about that and you think like maybe I could have handled that different, especially when you did like the diss record?
He needed to be in the ground, put his ass where he supposed to be.
That's the old Gucci still there?
Nah, that's the truth, man.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody comes to you try to kill you, you know, and self-defense. So somebody try to kill you.
Gucci and Jeezy's feud simmered for years after the shooting, but when Gucci served a 2-year stint on firearm charges, he emerged a different man. Once infamous as one of the most feared figures in hip-hop, a rapper who built his reputation on ruthlessness and even survived a real-life 5-on-1 confrontation, he eventually reinvented himself into a far less controversial figure, now viewed as proof that real change is possible for anyone. Another artist who stands as an icon in hip-hop is Snoop Dogg, widely respected not only within rap, but across the entire music industry. What many don't realize, however, is that in 1993, Snoop himself was put on trial for his alleged role in a deadly drive-by shooting. While most fans know Snoop's ties to the streets and his loyalty to the blue flag, fewer understand just how deeply he was entrenched in gang life back then, participating in crimes like countless others in his neighborhood. That year, he faced one of the most sobering experiences of his life, being caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. The day started tense, with Snoop clashing with rival gang members outside his apartment, though the argument ended without violence. Later, while driving his Jeep with his friend Malik, he spotted the same rivals again and sped up until they came face to face. Malik rolled the window down and the two groups began arguing once more. But this time, things escalated when one of the rivals, Philip Woldemariam, appeared to reach for a weapon. Before he could, Malik drew his own gun and fired, killing Philip on the spot. Snoop and Malik fled, but days later, Snoop turned himself in for his involvement. The trial wouldn't begin until 1995, where Malik's legal team argued the shooting had been a clear case of self-defense. Because Philip was believed to be drawing his gun first, Malik's lawyers argued the shooting was pure self-defense, but things initially looked bleak since no weapon was recovered from Philip's body. That changed when it was revealed one of Philip's own friends had snatched the gun off him after the shooting, hoping to protect Philip's reputation while also framing Malik and Snoop. Once that evidence surfaced, it became obvious the LAPD had mishandled the case from the start, even destroying key items like Philip's clothing, bullets, and shell casings. With the case falling apart, both Snoop and Malik were acquitted, though the situation cemented itself in history as murder was the case. To this day, some people argue Snoop should have served time, while others insist the courtroom got it right and that it truly was self-defense. And in the end, had things gone differently, the rap world may have lost a legend. Still, despite debates over morality, few label Snoop as evil or brand him a serial killer. King Von, however, is a different story entirely. Though he was murdered, his name is still cursed by many because he's alleged to have been a real-life serial killer, one far more dangerous than most imagine, with a reported body count higher than Jack the Ripper. Growing up on O Block in Chicago, one of the most notorious and violent neighborhoods in America, Von was immersed in chaos early on. But instead of trying to escape it, he embraced the life, joining the Black Disciples at a young age. And Von wasn't just a typical member. He was seen as the go-to shooter, the MVP of his set, the kind of guy who would have made varsity as a freshman if shooting were a sport. At just 16, Von was locked up in juvie for armed robbery, but once he got out, his reputation as one of the deadliest shooters on Chicago's streets only grew. If we were to break down every single murder he was allegedly tied to from 2012 onward, we'd be here for hours. But in total, Von either rapped about, tweeted about, or was linked to over 10 killings. And that's just what's been documented. Some believe his real body count was closer to 12 or 13, with a few murders kept off the radar completely. Officially, police questioned him in 2014 for the killing of KY, a notorious rival said to have her own dozen bodies. Von was never charged due to shaky witness testimony, but he openly hinted at being the shooter multiple times and was even named her killer after his own death. That same year, he was arrested in connection to another shooting that left one man dead and 2 injured, facing a murder charge and 2 counts of attempted murder, but he beat the case and walked free. During this time, Von developed a reputation for bragging online, tweeting openly about murders and even claiming responsibility for taking out 5 GDS and shooting at 10 more. Fans thought he was just talking tough, but years later, after his own murder, many realized he hadn't been lying. He really was that ruthless, and the fact he got away with it so long remains shocking. What makes his story even darker is that he allegedly kept killing even after fame, treating it less like survival and more like a sport. His body count was staggering, but he's not the only rapper accused of racking up so many murders it almost defies belief. Louisiana rapper Boosie was once facing accusations so serious he nearly landed the death penalty, a punishment usually reserved for society's most dangerous killers. Boosie had plenty of legal run-ins before and served serious time, over a decade behind bars, but the case that nearly ended his life came in 2010 when he was charged for the 2009 murder of Terry Boyd. Boyd was shot inside his home on October 21st, and prosecutors alleged Boosie didn't pull the trigger himself, but instead paid Marlo Mike Louding just $2,800 to do it, supposedly over a turf dispute.
Hatch's attorney, Jason Williams, says there was no bad blood between Hatch and the man who was killed. The alleged hitman, Michael Louding, faces murder charges in the deaths of 6 people over 14 months.
During the trial, prosecutors claimed Boosie wasn't just tied to Terry Boyd's murder, but was connected to 5 additional killings, meaning he could have been convicted of 6 murders in one shot. On top of that, he was already battling other serious cases, including major drug and firearms charges, painting him as one of the most dangerous men in the South. But Boosie's defense team stood firm, insisting he was innocent. They were so confident in their case that they didn't even bother calling a single witness to the stand. And that gamble paid off. Just 10 minutes after his lawyers entered their plea, the jury returned a not guilty verdict, closing a case that had dragged on for 3.5 years. Boozy walked free from the murder charge, and none of the other alleged cases were ever brought against him in court. Still, the trial left behind chilling details, like his young co-defendant admitting that by the age of just 15, he had already taken 9 lives.
Shit, my co-defendant killed 9 people.
He got convicted of that?
And admitted to it.
Wait.
He was 15.
A stark and chilling reminder of how dangerous life on the street really is. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, we've got another one for you right here.